Hello again, Robert Crossland back with the third video in the FPTS series. This time we're going to start taking a little bit deeper of a dive into the option type. I plan on going pretty deep into this because the other types that work like this, such as either and task, they kind of all have the same functions or similar functions. So if we spend some time and learn the simplest one, which is option, the other ones should be less difficult. In this video, we are going to focus on constructors and then conversions. I like to use the documentation found here on the FPTS official site. I'll post the URL in the description if I remember. If you're looking to find the documentation I used to create this video, you come here to modules and then you go down to option. And every one of these types has a table of contents, and we are going to be going over some of this today. Some of it has to do with ethers, so we're not going to cover that until we go over ethers. But for now, we're going to be covering some of and none for the constructors, and we're going to be doing all of the conversions aside from either. So let's jump right in and look at how to construct some options. So the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to import our library. And last time in the last video we imported it like this. You can do that. It makes IntelliSense real easy. You hit O dot and you get a list of stuff that's on it. But to show you that it can be done other ways, we're just going to grab what we need this time. So we're going to use option, none, some, and of. You might remember from the last time that a none is an interface that has an underscore tag set to none, and a sum has the same interface but it's set to sum, and then it will have a value of whatever it is. So we're going to make some of these manually. So we will make maybe manual, and we are going to make an option of date, and we're going to grab our private tag and set it to none. This is now a perfectly valid option of date, set to none. Now we'll use the constructor. We'll call it maybe constructed, and it is also going to be an option of date, but instead of doing it like we did last time, we're just going to set it to none. It's not really a constructor, it's a value, but it still sets it the exact same way. So I put this down here so we could output it. There you go. You can see they both are identical. So we're going to comment these out so I can reuse my console statement down here. And now we're going to manually create a sum. So we'll call it maybe manual is an option of date. And for a sum, you're going to have your tag that's going to be sum. And then you will have a value. We will set it to new date of 9/20/1977, which is my birthday. We'll do the same, but using a constructor. And this will also be an option of date. And we will do sum of new date 9/20/1977. Again, these two are the exact same thing. And you can tell simply by taking this out, and there's the value. They both look the same. And then we will do the last one using of. We will call this maybe of, and it will be a type option of date as well. And we will set that to of new date 9/20/1977. And I can take this out. I'll remove that last bit, and we'll put maybe of in here. And there you go. It works the same way. And that's it for the constructors. All right, now that we've covered some constructors, we'll cover some conversions. So the first thing we're going to cover is the fromNullable function. What this function does is it takes a value that could be undefined, it could be null, or it could be a value. If it's null, it will return a none. If it's undefined, it'll return a none. if there's a value, whether it's primitive or it's an object, it will return a sum containing that value. So we'll go ahead and show you how it works. I've got this console log here ready to go, and we are going to say fromNullable, and the first thing we're going to do is pass in a null. So we're going to pass in a null. We're going to look over here and we get a none. Let's update it. Thing is so bad. There we go, tag none. Next we'll do an undefined. fromNullable on an undefined should also get us a none. Let's see, it popped up a 2 there. If we pass in a primitive value like a number, I'll pass in a 3. We get a sum with a value of 3. If we pass in an object, we will get a sum with that object, just as we expect. So that is how you take an object that could be null or undefined and get it into an option form. Now, there might be a reason you want to maybe pass a none back as a null or an undefined value. Sometimes code can expect a null if something isn't there. You purposefully set it to null, or undefined if it was never set. And so there might be cause for you to actually return a null or undefined from one of your library functions. So we'll go over to how to do that. I've got a little console log ready to go. And so we are going to import toNullable and toUndefined. And so the first ones we're going to do is we're going to get a possibly null value that is a none, and then a possibly null value that is a sum. So we will say we want toNullable, and we want to pass in a none. And you see here, it popped out a null. So if we do the same thing, but we have a sum value, it'll just pass out the value, not wrapped in the sum. The toUndefined works very similarly. So if I put toUndefined in here, and I pass it a none, it's going to return undefined instead of null. And if I pass it a value, oh, I need to pass it a sum, it will return the value. Thanks a lot for joining me. In the next video, we'll look at some of the things you can do if you end up on the none track to get back on the sum track using alt or get or else along with their widened counterparts. We will cover some interop using try catch, and lastly, we'll look at some refinements using is none and is sum. See you next time.